All right, so here we have another version of a Schefflera Louisiane. This one has smaller leaves. This belongs to one of our students, Terry. Before I jump into the tree, I think something that's worth discussing that's very interesting about Terry is Terry is colorblind. How he's able to do his trees and to know they're healthy is he literally went to a hardware store. He got several paint chips of green, because for him they're gray. He brought us the paint chips. We compared the paint chip with the actual healthy color of the trees that he has, anything from a juniper to a calandra to this. So he literally takes that paint chip and matches gray to gray with his eyes. The reason I like to talk about Terry is oftentimes people with perfect vision more or less neglect looking at those little nuances, and then someone comes along that is totally colorblind, relying on a paint chip, and they figure out how to nail it. So I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad, but I do think it's worth noting that this is 100% a cliche and that you get what you put into it. So going to the actual tree, this would be a banyan style Schefflera. It has not been trimmed in I think about 2 months, so we're going to take the tree back, bring it down to a little bit of shape, yeah, show you what kind of a cleaned out banyan looks like. So what I'm doing as I trim is I'm going to go ahead and pull these yellow leaves off. I can literally just snap them back. They come right free from the tree. I'm not concerned about the petiole in this case because the leaf itself is already declining. It's already on its way out. Basically dead at this point, so the petiole is not going to make any difference. The tree's already shut that door on the stem. So now I'm just going to go through and any clutter as far as too many leaves, too close to internodes that are growing within the interior that are preventing adequate light to getting into the tree, I'm just going to go ahead and thin those out. So here we have it's taken back. This is the Schefflera Louisiane variety. You can see the difference in the smaller leaves. We'll do a leaf by leaf comparison. Yeah, this is kind of the banyan style. A very wide canopy, a single, more isolated trunk, or a tight niche of multiple trunks. But the main characteristic is it's short and wide. You can have gigantic representations of that, but if you take it away from a particular table or a particular wall, it could be short and wide, but it may actually be gigantic because it is the style, it is the look of it that you're going for. This particular one, I don't know if I said it already, I think this has been, I'm going to say, a 5 to 7 year project for the owner. This is something that you can grow alongside with. You don't necessarily have to be a bonsai master. You don't have to be incredibly well versed in the art of tropicals or anything like that. This is simply, what would you like to get out of it? You want multiple trunks, you want single trunks, you want a forest, and then you develop the foliage accordingly. A lot of times it is a mass that is either tall, spread out, or in the forest case sparse, but you can literally get away with anything that you want. You can reduce the leaves in any of those scenarios. This particular tree, he keeps it potted on a regular basis. He doesn't let a lot of humidity get in there. It does not have a ton of aerial roots that are dropping down like the other references that we have. So this has been controlled because he doesn't want the aerial roots. He wants a more singular trunk. So it's very much dependent on the environment that you provide it as far as the tree that you get out of it. All right, so real quick, just to show you the differences in the leaves, we have 2 variety up here. 3 of these leaves are the same variety, but it shows you kind of where you start and where you end up as far as leaf size and reduction. This first one here, this is the standard Schefflera. This is not the Louisiane variety. This variety grows naturally larger leaves. People do use these as bonsai. It's not a bad thing, the Schefflera arbicola, the non-Louisiane variety. But they are a little bit more work to reduce. They do suit better for larger trees. You still, through root manipulation, through controlled feeding, watering stuff, you still can reduce these quite a bit. But If you were up against one or the other, I'm always going to go Louisiana variety. So this is the standard arbicola. Here is the Louisiana variety. It's naturally smaller. This is not this size as a result of anything that we've done. This is the natural leaf size for it, but these will reduce a lot easier and quite a bit smaller. So this is the standard Louisiana. Right here, we're reducing. This is a leaf from kind of a mid-range tree as far as development goes. The leaves are starting to reduce. This is also a Louisiana. And the smaller, this is the goal. This is where we're going. This little tiny thing right here. This can come through root maturation. This can come through pruning it back without complete defoliation and working with those smaller leaves as they emerge, keeping the inner nodes cut back to there. That way every leaf that follows is small as well. These initial leaves on there are kind of the blueprint going forward as far as reduction and development. Really quick, one thing I failed to mention a little sooner was when it comes to propagation of these, super easy. Everything that we've cut off, just to show you a couple things, each one of these could root. It is going to be more difficult on a completely green stem. It's always better to root something that has hardened off to a point. Yeah, right here. This particular one, you see the difference in the stem. This one's a completely different color. This is more of a cream color. This is hardened off. This is beginning to harden off. It's kind of patchy. So when you have this, you basically have enough auxins in there to produce roots. It's very simple. You can cut it off almost any size that you want. You can take this, put it in a pot full of perlite, keep it misted but not overly saturated. I will go a little step further and say that a lot of times when people do cuttings and stuff and they put something in perlite, they'll immediately take a water hose and they'll keep it wet that way. Perlite floats. It's volcanic glass. So when you hit it with a water hose, guess what? It shifts. The mist works very well because it doesn't keep it overly saturated, which cuts down on your likelihood of rot. But it creates a nice humid environment that's stable because you're not hitting it with a blast of water. It's staying humid. So much easier way to propagate. Do you need a synthetic auxin? A synthetic auxin is a rooting hormone, that powder that we use for propagation. It's not entirely necessary on this. You can nearly knock this thing over on the ground, walk away for 2 months. It's going to come back. It's probably rooted all over the place. That's how easy these go. So as far as propagation, whatever you cut it off, if this is something that you want to specialize in or work in or have a lot of, root it.